Hello, my name's Karina Thompson, and in this video I'm going to show you some of the more advanced features in the Spyro Wizard, which is part of the My Sew Net embroidery program. You might find it useful to watch my earlier video which introduces the basics of the Spyro Wizard. So, as before, I've opened up my software. I'm on the welcome screen and I am going to click on a Spyro Wizard. And just like before, I am going to change the size of my design to 200mm, and again I am going to click on random. I'm not going to worry about the changes. Okay, and I am going to put in some very specific numbers to start off with. So the most important thing, the size. On this line I'm going to leave the slider at 100, but then I am going to change some of these others. So I'm going to drag the slider down to 13 for the number of petals, and the next category, which is petal type, I am going to move down to number 2. And basically you can either use the sliders, or if you want to, you can actually just type your number in if you know. And let me just check my numbers, and I am going to go, yep, I'm going to leave the angle category at 0. I'm going to have the number of lines is going to be 2, but I'm actually going to take this down to 0 for the effect that I want. Again, using that slider, and then in this case I'm going to put in the number 32, and that's giving me this lovely kind of circular random, it's not random, but this almost like flower-like design. I know this is going to work great as a quilting pattern. Okay, but you can see we've actually got a big area in the center. So I want to talk about some of the other features that you can use the wizard for, and I'm going to click on this next add color button, and the color selection window opens, and this is where there's all sorts of thread ranges that you can click on. I'm going to stay with the Robson Anton Rayon 40, but you can see there's some quick colors in here, plus there is all the shade card as well. But just for the time being, I'm going to click on this blue and I'm going to click OK. And straight away you can see basically this design has turned to blue, and you might be thinking, well, where is the earlier design? And the answer is, it's actually, if I move this along here, and let me just click on this, you can see that actually the designs are there together. Let me just talk through what's going on with this button here. This button here is ghost mode. If it's checked, basically it will knock back whatever is not highlighted, and that allows you to review what's going on and just concentrate on the design that you're working with. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the size. I'm going to make this design a little bit smaller, and I'm going to use the slider, and I'm going to go down to 60%. And you can see it's actually made my design much smaller in there. I can see my original pink lines on there. I'm going to leave this at 13, but I'm going to take this up to 8. And I am going to bring this one. Remember, the sliders, you can either slide them, or if you know your number you can actually type them in here. And I'm going to take this one back to beg your pardon, up to 15, because I know basically if this was down at 0, let me just point this out. If this is on 0, can you see at these points are actually perfectly lining up? Well, I want to have the points of my blue shape actually in this other area, so I'm going to use that slider. I've done it before. I know that 15 is about right, and there it is, it's coming in between. And in this case I'm just going to ignore those other categories, going to leave those unchanged. Now, a couple of other buttons that you might be quite interested in. So if I turn off the ghost mode, You can see that design there. How it's going to look when it's stitched out, yeah, I'm quite happy with that. But also, if I click on Design Player, that allows me to actually move this slider here and actually see what my design will be like if I press the play button. I can speed things up if I want. And this is actually going to show me how this design is going to look like as it stitches out. And this is quite a useful screen just to get a sense of what's going to be happening where. And of course, one of the beauties of the Spyro Wizard is that basically the threads all join up. You're not actually, it's a continuous line, you're not having lots of tie-offs, which of course quilters hate, because securing that tie-off can be a real pain to sort out. And here we go, it's going to start stitching out, showing me what it's going to look like to stitch out that blue line of stitching. And this is a really useful way of just checking the quality of the work that you've done, seeing if you can see if, you know, for instance, are those points lining up in the way that I want. It's just a useful tool. Okay, I'm happy with that, so I'm just going to click yep to get rid of. So that's what the Design Player button does. The other thing that you might find useful is the stitch options. Now basically you can, the default setting is a running stitch, but if you wanted to, you could have a double stitch or a triple stitch. So let's say you wanted something to almost look a lot more like a hand stitch, you could have a go with the triple stitch. One thing that you might find useful is that if your design is quite small, you might find that some of your point, and you're going for very angular points, we've got curves in this example, but you might find if it's just looking a little bit, the best way to describe it is clunky. Sometimes actually narrowing down that stitch length, so for instance I could take it down to say 1.5 mil my stitch length, that's a useful thing to do, but in this case I don't think that's going to be an issue, so I'm just going to click OK. Yeah, so I'm happy with this. I'm going to click OK, and that will actually then put it onto my main screen, and then I can either use the MySewNet facilities to actually send it direct to my machine, or I can go File and Export. Okay, so hope you found this little short video, a couple of other things a bit more advanced that will allow you to actually build up quite sophisticated imagery that you can then stitch out on your embroidery machine. So my name's Karina Thompson. I hope you found this video useful, and look out for more films in the series.